can't afford to carry on the way I am. I'm burning myself into the ground. And one of my best friends who was a member started banging on my door at about 11 a.m. What are you doing? What's going on? You need to check your phone. And within hours, I'd lost 60 members. And I just wanted the world to swallow me up.
On this week's episode of the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast, we have Dave Hoyland from the Fitness Formula. What would you say to someone who's in a similar position?
So I would say, if you're not where you want to be, the sooner you take on help and support, the quicker you'll see things turn around. The relationships I've made and the friendships and that community from my point of view and what you guys offer, again, is what's kept me going, really. Because I was on my own for 10 years and I struggled for 10 years and I was exhausted for 10 years. And it was only through desperation that I reached out for help.
Let's jump into the episode.
This episode is sponsored by Harbiz, the all-in-one management platform for fitness professionals. Are you a studio or boutique fitness owner looking to optimize your customer experience, or a fitness professional ready to scale up their business? With powerful features like client management, scheduling, billing, and programming, Harbiz empowers fitness professionals to grow their businesses and increase their client base. Each professional receives a customized introduction to integrate seamlessly into the platform, ensuring they deliver the best possible experience to their clients through the client app. And if that's not enough, Harbiz offers a free trial to see if they're going to be the perfect fit for your business. Ready to scale up? Learn more at Harbiz or click the link in the show notes.
Dave Hoyland, welcome to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. Let's go way back. When did you enter the fitness industry and what were your initial steps?
Yeah, so I started in the fitness industry when I was 19, 35 now, so 16 years this year. But before that, I started as a lifeguard and just did the usual thing, lifeguard to gym instructor to personal trainer, and then personal trainer, kind of self-employed. And then, I was working in a public gym, like most people do, lots of hours, split shifts, that kind of thing. And then I went travelling for a few months around Australia, New Zealand, and I saw that there was a lot of people doing outdoor boot camps and personal training studios, when at the time there wasn't really many personal training studios around. So I thought, when I get back, I'll be the first one in my town to open a personal training studio. So I did. I opened a tiny, tiny little thing above a hairdresser's. Disaster. Just trying to be quiet all the time when you got hairdressers below that don't really like you upstairs. Plus he was the landlord, so he was always knocking and telling us to be quiet, so you couldn't really train people properly. So I saved up, moved out of there after 5 years, got a slightly bigger facility, was in there for 5 years, and then as of last year we moved into our biggest facility yet. So that's been the journey.
Let's fast forward to now. What is the business name, the business model, number of clients?
Yeah, so it's called the Fitness Formula, which we rebranded during lockdown after your advice. It was Fight for Fitness before that, but you said it was more of a martial arts name, so we switched to something a bit more open to everybody, really. So it wasn't putting people off inquiring. We've got 160 clients, and we do a mixture of semi-private personal training, which is the bulk of it, and large group training as well, all under one roof now, as opposed to outdoor and renting different halls and things like that, which is what I've done. I think that was the question. Yeah.
Let's just talk about that rebrand, because a lot of gym owners, they initially create a logo or a name, and then they and their business evolves, and they have that gut feeling that they should rebrand, but they hold off from doing it.
Yeah.
So let's go through that again. So what was the business called previously? What is it called now?
Yeah, I think because a lot of our classes, especially outdoor boot camps and the halls we used to hire, we always used to incorporate a little bit of boxing fitness work. So I wanted to go something down. I used to box a little bit as well, not competitively, but more for fun. And it was Fight for Fitness, just because I always thought it is a fight to be fit. I didn't really associate it too much to be martial arts boxing related. But yeah, in hindsight, I guess it could have put people off, especially our demographic now, which are of an older generation. Naturally, they're kind of a 50 plus demographic. I think the name back then would have probably put a lot of people off without even realising. So after speaking with yourself and one of my clients who's in the corporate space, we came up with a different name, the Fitness Formula, which stands for everything then, because it is obviously community based. It's nutrition, it's exercise, it's mental health, everything. So I think the new name just sort of showcases everything we stand for. But yeah, I think the timing was just right. I think it's something I put off for a while. I think there's that fear that you're going to lose the sort of reputation you've built in the area, because we were quite well known at the time. We had quite a lot of members and it was quite busy. And I suppose I was just scared that if I rebranded, people would think it's a new thing and they won't know who we are. We'd have lost that trust built up. So yeah, I wish I did it sooner. but there's no regrets now. I'm really happy with the name and the brand.
What would you say to someone who's in a similar position? They know they need to do that rebrand.
Yeah, I think you got to think long term and think big scale. So a lot of the trainers I know of in the area who have got staff working for them, they still use their own names. I won't say it now, but they use their own personal name and then fitness on the end. I just think if you're trying to build a brand or build a business with people working for you, I personally wouldn't want to work under someone where I was saying I work for Dave Hoyland Fitness. I want to be working for a bigger company, share that vision. So I would say for people like that, it would be worth having a brand name which is a bit more generic. But it's up to everyone. But my regret was not doing it sooner, but I'm glad I did.
Let's segue into that vision and the team. So talk me through who is on the team in terms of their roles in the business.
Yeah, so up until a few years ago, it was just myself. When I first started with you 5 years ago, it was just me. We've now got a team of 5. So I've got 3 full-time coaches who are doing all the coaching now. As of last month, I stepped back from coaching altogether, apart from a client that I train just for a bit of fun, really.
One client?
One client twice a week, yeah, and just more because it's as a favour. He's been with me a long time, so it's good. But I think I was struggling with trying to balance coaching 15, 20 hours a week, which is what I was doing up until a month ago, and running a business. And even in the last month, from stepping back from coaching, it's been so much more productive. And I can't believe how busy my days still are. It's crazy to think that I was still coaching 4 or 5 sessions a day and doing sales calls and doing team meetings and taking care of Facebook advertising, all of it. And now I'm just so busy. Even though I stepped back, I'm being a lot more productive. So I've got a sales guy who's training at the moment. He's been with me for about 6 weeks. Young lad called Aaron, who's actually coming from a corporate sales role where he was expecting to make 600 dials a day and he had tough targets to hit and everything like that. And I'm not expecting, obviously, that kind of level, but he's calling old leads from 18 months ago, something I wasn't doing. He's WhatsApping old leads. We had 600 leads on our database who haven't been contacted for 12 months or so. They're getting emails, but we haven't directly reached out to them. And he's made sales just from reaching out to old leads, and he's still training, but he's been on the sales bootcamp here and got a lot from that. I have team meetings with him once a week. We set up a plan of action for that week. The team here, by the way, have been amazing with actually Dylan, my coach or mentor, whatever you want to call him. What was he?
Yeah, account exec.
Inside
agency.
FMA.
Yeah.
He's been amazing. He'll speak with Aaron, my sales guy, directly, and they'll make a plan for the month and execute it. And that includes just WhatsApping old leads, sending ebooks every month to them, so we're giving free content, phoning fresh leads, taking care of Instagram inquiries as well. So team's been vital. Seen a huge improvement since.
So the 3 coaches, are they full-time employees?
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you do the contractor model previously?
I did, yeah. So back in the day when it was just me and I started getting a bit busy and needed some help, I would just pay people, they would invoice me, self-employed trainers, and it was purely just teaching. They weren't doing any fulfillment. They wouldn't have a list of clients they looked after like my team do now. There's a lot more other than just coaching now. And I had this chat with one of my coaches yesterday. I said, you come into a fitness industry, you think you're just going to be coaching people all day, but the game's changed now, and especially in personal training, it's more about how you coach them outside of the gym, because we only see them 2 or 3 times a week. There's 24 hours in a day, and I say you've got to be coaching them on everything outside of it. So actually their role will consist of an 8-hour shift. They're probably doing 3 or 4 sessions in that time, 3 or 4 hours of fulfillment and planning programs and things like that. So, but they like it. They enjoy that.
Are they given a set number of clients to look after?
Yeah, they are. So there's 4 of us. Like I said, I'm not coaching at the minute, but I still have a list. So we've got 40 clients each that we look after, and it just helps massively. And the check-ins and everything like that, we check in with the clients twice a week. We check their attendance twice a week. So if they've not even been in by Wednesday, their accountability coach is on their case. They have to do a traffic light check-in every 2 weeks. So again, it's crazy how things like that have improved our retention. Before, it was like a bucket that was leaking. We would be losing clients all the time, sometimes 10 or 12 clients, which could be £2,000 in revenue just gone. And now we're probably at 98% retention. So,
which is solid. And so many gyms don't have any systems, any processes behind the scenes. They literally just sell the fitness class or the PT group session or the one-on-one session, whatever it is. And as you said, like that client's with you for 1 or 2 hours of that whole week, maybe 3, and then you don't speak to them or hear from them. So I really want to just go a little bit deeper under the hood. So what are you checking in on them with?
Yeah, so something we actually got with working with one of the other mentors, Dan Aguilera, FBP, they taught us something about this traffic light check-in. So every Friday, our clients get an automatic text and an email. They have to check in, and it's just a simple red, amber, green system. So red would be, if they select red, they're in trouble. They need help. They're not coming in, or they've got an injury, or their nutrition's just gone completely out of whack. They're losing motivation, so they'll hit red, I need help. If things are okay, but they could do with a bit more help, they'll press amber. And if things are great and they're loving it, they press green. And some of them don't do it, so then they still get chased up. So they are still getting that touch point. If they select amber or red, which means they need help, it will ask them some questions automatically in the survey. And then the coach will see that on a Monday, and they've then got the answers from the client, and then they know already what they need to coach them on. And then they'll call up the client and say, look, I see you're struggling with your energy levels. Try this, try that. So they get that. That probably works better than anything else.
This episode is brought to you by Fitness Business Profits. Now, FBP have worked with hundreds of our clients here at Fitness Marketing Agency to add the correct systems in their business so they can have a highly profitable fitness business. Now, it's very common that typical fitness businesses have the wrong product, the wrong pricing, the wrong systems inside their business, causing a lot of chaos behind the scenes. But with FBP, they will help you get the correct systems in place, have the correct pricing, have the correct packaging, so your business is set up for success and can be highly profitable. If you want to find out more, go to www.myfitnessbusinessprofits.com, or you can go down in the show notes to see a link attached there.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of your clients have purchased fitness from another gym or online or whatever it may be, but they've probably never had that level of accountability. They've literally just turned up to the session, they've sweated for 45 minutes, an hour, and then they've left, and then that's it. But suddenly just that extra level has tightened up the systems in the background. And
Absolutely.
there's that famous saying, right? It's much easier to keep a customer than keep getting new ones. And, you know, keeping customers is what we're in the game of, and too many gym owners are focusing on front end leads, front end sales, and it's like, look, you just need to get a better product on the gym floor and a better system with tracking those clients. When a client comes through the door, are they measured, weighed? Like, what's the process there?
We don't force it, just because not everyone's goals are obviously that way inclined. Some are. Obviously, that's most of the reason why people start, is because they've got health and fitness goals. They want to see a transition quite quick. They want to see their weight coming down. But we give it as an option. So we've got a body tracks machine in reception, and we just say, come in 15 minutes before. If you want to use that, you can. But again, because it's so individual, we do give them the option. So some can do that. If they want to have tape measurements done, they can. We maybe say do some before and after photos. But again, we leave it down to the client, because everyone's different, aren't they? And some want that and some don't. So that's completely up to them. But everyone comes on board on a 30-day kickstart program, and they get, with the 4 pillars, we call it. So they get exercise, which is unlimited. They can do as many times a week as they like, but we set them a goal of 3. And that could be a mixture of semi-private, small group. They can come to large group, but only if we think they should be doing it.
Because their capabilities,
exactly.
Maybe they can't squat. Lunge.
Yeah, and again, their accountability coach, so from day one they get assigned a coach. Their accountability coach will have a chat with them before they start, figure out where they're at in their journey. And if the coach thinks they're better off starting with semi-private, which most people are, they'll start them with that. And then the coach over the next month will say, look, actually, do you know what, John, you know, your last 2 weeks, you've been really improving. I've got no reason why you can't do a large group class. Now let's start adding that into your program. So exercise is unlimited and still tailored. Nutrition wise, again, everyone's different. Some like to go all at it and do calorie counting, and not so many with macros, but it's an option. We just do a basic food diary. Just do a food diary for a week, so we can just see what you're doing. And then again, the support and lifestyle coaching as well. We've started doing, again, something we got from FBP is a core 4 checklist, where they're literally, the client is for the first month, every day they're tracking how much water they're drinking. We set them a goal of 2.5 litres, how much sleep they're getting. They've got to aim for 7 hours. Nutrition's got to be about 70% good. And exercise. So they tick it off and they can get points, and it's kind of like a chart to hold them accountable.
So in that first 30 days, they're like blown away with obviously the results they get in the mirror, or how they feel with their clothes, or just their energy levels, and then all this extra levels of accountability that they've probably not had. How do you maintain that? So someone completes the 30 days, they then become a full-time client or reoccurring. How do you continue to layer in that accountability and motivation?
Well, I mean, the traffic light check-in is automatic, so that's all built out now. So they get that every 2 weeks. Attendance checks every single week. So I'll do an attendance check on a Friday to see who's not been in much that week.
Yeah. On that note, what booking system are you using?
At the moment, we're using GlowFox, and we can just do a report, so we can just see who's not been in. So by Wednesday, my head coach Jamie, he'll do a report on a Wednesday. If people haven't been in yet,
or not booked in,
then he sends that list to the other coaches, and then they contact that client that's not been in to find out why.
Some gym owners might be of the mindset, I have sleeping members, I don't want to disturb them. I'm more than happy for them to pay and not turn up. So what's your take on that?
I really disagree with it. I think that's obviously not what they're paying for. They're paying good money to come to you for that accountability. And we have clients who will just not show up. You're always going to get clients that for some reason or another, they have a few weeks where they just completely lose motivation. But having those regular touch points from the coach just reminds them that we're here. And even when they're on holiday, we know which clients are on holiday. We know who are off injured or illness. We still have little touch points. So if they're on holiday, just check in and say, look, I know you're probably having quite a lot of alcohol, you're having a great time. Just, do the simple things, drink the water, get lots of steps in, do some swimming, and know we're here for when you come back. Let us know when you're back and let's get you booked in. If it's an injury, then obviously we can just adapt it.
Well, it's testament, 98% retention rate. I want people for this first segment of the podcast to take that away. What can they do? What can you do if you're watching or listening to this to improve your retention rates? Because as an industry, we are too focused on the front end sales and we forget about, keeping customers and making sure that they are serviced and they understand, what's included and how to get better results and so on. I want to still keep on team. I want to switch back to the salesperson. So previously you were doing all the sales, you were smashing it at making sales. What was your decision? Why did you decide to hire a salesperson?
I think I'll admit I was good at sales when I had a call and they booked and they answered, but I just never did the follow through. I didn't do the work that you should be doing. And I'll be honest, that the role that Aaron, the sales guy's got now, is a full-time role. It really is. The amount of work that I've managed to give him, and it's making a big difference. The little things that I just wasn't doing that he can do because he's got a whole day to do it.
Previously you were coaching
because I was doing everything else.
Family, after
spinning
work.
plates, 5 plates. Spinning 5 plates.
You've got a bunch of leads that you need to follow up with, and you call a couple, get through to them, but then you forget about the other ones.
Yeah,
and
unless they answered, I was rarely chasing. And then sometimes I would block time out, and I would do it of an evening. I'd get the kids to bed. They're only young, 6 and 7 years old. I would rush to have dinner with them, help with bath time, get them to bed. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, right, I need to make sales calls. So I'd say goodnight, I'd rush it. I'd either have a call booked in for 7 p.m. So then I'm rushing that bedtime routine with my family. And then you end up resenting the idea of a sales call. You end up going on to that sales call a little bit stressed, annoyed, almost frustrated that that's taken time away from my family. And then if that person doesn't sign up after a 30-minute call, it can be very disheartening. And then you lose that love for it. So I would say that I was quite good when I was on the phone and could usually get a sale, but it was all the other stuff that comes with it. It was just, to me, it became more of a chore as opposed to something I wanted to do.
So many business owners or so many personal trainers are successful PTs, and then they start their gym and then they become stuck working as a PT in their own business. And then once they do what you've done, which is step out of the coaching, they sometimes then get stuck as salespeople for their business. Their one task is sales, but again, as a business owner, you don't just have one task, right? You have to do a million other things. So you basically stepping out of coaching, stepping out of sales, and you've got people that are responsible for the coaching, one person responsible for the sales. It's completely freed you up to then work on bigger projects, and we'll come on to that in a second. But I really just want to stay on this sales person, because a lot of people listening or watching to this, they need to do the same. They are the business owner, but they're also the salesman, and they need to entrepreneurial thinking, hire someone, because I'm not going to ask you publicly what his salary is, but I'm pretty sure, have you seen return on investment already? Already,
yeah. Again, just the simple things that we've, again, using the FMA resources, I just made a list of everything available on the FMA website with regards to what campaigns there are, what ebooks you can send out. 72-hour conversion, all these extra things that he could be doing that I wasn't doing. And he made a sale on Monday from sending an ebook that we had made, I don't know, 3 or 4 years with you. And again, those ebooks are just sat there. We weren't using them. And he's just sending them out once a month to every single lead we've ever had come through FMA, who's yet to buy. And he had a phone call and made a sale from it. She just responded to the ebook and said, I need help. And it was nothing to do with...
She probably didn't even read that ebook, right? It's more the fact that someone's reached out to her.
Yeah.
And like so many people have been conditioned, like, the leads around here are poor, people are time wasters, they're not interested. But, life gets in the way and people just need that touch point. How you getting on? Hey, you opted in January. It's now 7-8 months down the line. Like, do you still need help? Have you taken any progress towards your goals? And the truth is no, because life gets in the way, or that fears stop them from proceeding forward. So having someone on the phone, doing that is massive. So is this staff member bonused or is it a flat salary?
Yeah, and I'll be completely honest with you. He has to make, I think, 7 sales a month to cover his salary. So I initially went in and I wanted to be almost a commission role only, which would have been obviously win-win for me because I would only be paying him if he made sales. But he's got a partner. She wasn't on board with that idea. He was coming from a good corporate job. He needed a bit more stability. So I had to have that chat with him. And he said, look, I love the idea of the role. It's something I'm really passionate about. He's actually got level 3 PT qualification. He's never used it, but he's into fitness himself. I think he's got an online coach himself. So he's so into fitness. He's young, he's enthusiastic, he's hungry for it. So I had so many CVs come in. I had so many people that were interested in the role, but he just was worth me changing my initial plan, my strategy of bringing someone on. So I said, how about then basic salary, but then over a certain amount of sales, we start to look into a commission. So he has to make 7 sales. That will cover his salary. So I'm happy. Any more than that, then there's like a tiered thing. So for example, if he makes 8 to 12 sales, he'll get 10% commission on those sales. From sales 13 to 20, he'll get 20% commission. So he's always still pushing for more sales, but he's only 5-6 weeks in at the moment and it's summer. So I'm not expecting loads from him from that sense, but from September onwards when we push again, and we're still doing all the background stuff. We're still advertising daily, running testimonials and things like that, but I'm not expecting him to make loads of front end sales now. It's more about putting in the reps and doing the other work to build up that resilience really for sales, which is what I think you need, resilience and drive. But from September, I keep saying he's going to be a ninja or an assassin. He's going to be brilliant because he's already smashing it.
Well, 7 sales isn't huge to cover his salary, and of course that's just front end cash.
Yes.
So with your retention rates, those clients will stick, right? So when you look at the bigger overall picture, you've got one person solely responsible for calling new leads that come in, trying to reactivate old leads, people that follow your socials. I'm sure you're reaching out to them, DMing them. And then obviously in his downtime when he's not on the phone, he's going through the resources he has available inside of FMA to activate a few things. I'm sure you're going to get him on some business development things in the community as
already
well.
Are. So we've already teamed up with a local physiotherapy company. They said they see 400 people a month across 2 practices, and we're going to be doing the local gift campaign with them, where we give them a gift to give to their patients, which has got a trial voucher and grenade bar and all that stuff. We stole that idea from the last mastermind. It was brilliant. So we've paired up with them. We've given them a free membership to the gym. It's 2 partners, and that she starts, the female partner, she starts I think next week. And we've already ordered everything we need for the gift bags, but we're going to be literally pumping out every month to them, and we're going to try and hit a different business every month. So we've got so many contacts and things, and it's that referral marketing, isn't it?
Just to give context to people that aren't FMA members or weren't at our mastermind event recently, that campaign, just break it down so people understand.
Yeah, so at the event, on the table there's a blue bag which had potential PT on it, obviously a local personal training business that works with you, I believe, and inside the bag there was a grenade bar, a grenade shake, and then a flyer with some before and after photos on it, a testimonial, a QR code to scan, and also a gift voucher to scan, which would take them directly to the website, and then you can book a call from there. And it's all about partnering up with obviously local businesses who are going to be helping people who are after a similar thing to your potential clients. So that could be beauty therapists because people want to look better. It could be tanning studios, obviously physiotherapists to help with the health side of it. private doctors, private dentists. We've got such a list, which again I found inside the FMA site under the referral marketing. We've got a list of all the different types of people we can contact, and Aaron, the sales guy, is going to make relationships with people every month and do the same thing where we ask their permission, get them in, trial us, make sure they like the service, they're happy to sell it for us to their customers and clients. And then on the back of that, we give them X amount of gifts every month for them to give to their clients as a way of them saying thank you to their patients and clients for using their service. So it's win-win.
Someone goes to physio, bad knee, bad back.
Yeah.
They get treated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sessions. They feel so much better. But on the first session, they see that physio. The physio gives them a gift bag, branded your business.
Yes.
Inside it, a gift voucher to find out more. And physios are perfect for this because a lot of them will prescribe exercises to their patients, but no one does it. Like literally. And I think it's one of the big frustrations in the physio world is like, hey, here's a band, here's a ball, go do this exercise, but no one does it. So by then introducing your company where they can come to a structured session and then get further rehab around that said injury is a win-win, right? So that's great. What's the cadence of meetings you're having with the coaching team, with your salesperson?
So on a Monday morning, I have a one-to-one with the sales guy, and we just make a plan for the week. That's about an hour. And then that afternoon, we have a team one, which he states. So he's basically working from home. So he can do all the sales. He finds it easier to do the sales calls and things with no distractions from home. We don't have like a private office. Ours is like an open reception area where the clients walk through, they come back out of the gym to fill up their water bottle. So I used to do sales calls from there. Sometimes I'd sit in my van in the car park just for peace and quiet. I can never get anything done. So he's doing his sales calls and all the chasing from home. But we have a team meeting at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon where we just plan for the week ahead. Each coach will have a list of what they're working on that week. And then on a Friday, we have another team meeting outside of the gym. We go to a local coffee shop, change of scenery, and that will just review how the week's gone. We go through who's not been in, who's starting the following week. There's a whole checklist on what we cover. So that's twice a week. Once a month I do, as part of the team meeting, once a month I go through the business finances. I think it's important they know where we stand, they get on board with that vision. We say where we want to be in the next 3 months, 6 months, etc., and how that's going to benefit them, so it keeps them motivated.
So you're fully open with the profit and loss?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how long have you been doing that for?
We did the first one last month. Yep. Yeah, first time.
Yeah. And why did you make that decision to be an open book? Because a lot of business owners are like, keep it to themselves. They don't want anyone to know.
I think when people see a business owner, they have a bit of a idea in their head that person is the fat cat at the top, taking everything. And I wanted them to fully understand where we were as a business, because I want to eventually give them bonuses. I want to be able to send them on courses and celebrate with them and do that with them. But they need to understand that we're not there yet. We're not at that level. But when we are, they will reap the rewards. So it keeps them motivated, and it builds trust as well. Because at the end of the day, they are the soldiers on the ground floor, whereas I'm at the top now overseeing it and directing it. But they're the ones that are in the forefront of the clients' faces. And I think they need to be on board with that vision of where I want it to go and how that will benefit them in the long run. So that's why I made that decision. And I think there's been a lot more respect since, definitely.
Yeah, because a lot of people who've never owned a business, they see all these clients and they do the maths in their head and they're like, oh, that business owner must be making thousands every single month. You might get a new car and oh, look at him, a new piece of clothing or a watch. But what they don't understand, obviously, VAT to the government straight out the door, corporation tax, personal tax, and expenses. You're always heavily reinvesting in mentorship and coaching. I don't see any of that, right?
Well, one of my coaches literally said to me last week, he said, oh, we're the same age. I think it's a few years in it. He said, but you're so much more successful than me. I said, Carl, you should see the amount of money I've borrowed. Like, I didn't say the exact words debt, but you should see the money it's led. And actually he said to me last week, he said, I couldn't do what you've done. He said, it is such a tough industry, which I am going to talk to you about today, because I think that was one of the messages I wanted to get across is it may always look great when you hear people sat here talking about where their business is at, but we're still fighting. I'm still fighting daily to get it to a point where I consider it to be successful. I don't think it is yet. And that's just my opinion of it, because where I want to be in my motivation. But the drive and the determination just to get it to here is probably one of the things I wanted to talk about today, really, was just that resilience.
I've got a couple more questions on the sales guy, and then let's dive into that. So the reason I want to keep talking about this sales guy, because a lot of clients inside FMA or in the industry, they're in that position where they're stuck doing sales calls and they need that second person to help. So will you dip back into sales at any point? Like, you know, what's the rules around if a lead comes in? Like, how quickly are you to call that? What about weekends? What's the sort of thought process around that?
I think if you get the right person, because it's not a 9 to 5 job, and I have given him flexibility because he's getting a basic salary, and I've said, you know, you're aiming for 37 hours a week, but they are flexible hours, and because it's going to be commission based as well, you may find that you have to make some calls at weekends. You might have to be on Instagram at 9-10 o'clock at night because that's when people are going to be scrolling. And Saturday night just gone, he was replying to people at 10:30 at night, and I've never asked him to do that. So if you get the right person on board and give them that freedom and flexibility, I think they'll go above and beyond for you. So yeah, I think it comes down to it comes down to
inner drive.
Yeah. And he's got the right mindset of, like a personal trainer would. He said, I'm just trying to help these people. Why won't they answer, or why do they not want it? It's so frustrating. I know he's got that mentality already that it's not about the money for him, although that would be great. He was earning more money where he was, but he hated it. And now he's doing something that he truly believes in. So,
which is truly changing people's lives.
Absolutely.
Where did you advertise for this role?
Just on Indeed.
So you didn't know him previously?
No, I had over 100 applicants, over 100 CVs. I didn't like the look of any of them.
And what did the advert sort of say? How was it sort of spelled out to the candidates?
It was a gym sales role. I had a couple of interviews from people who came from a normal corporate gym membership.
That's normally just a tour, right?
Well, people just walk off the street and they're either coming to use the pool and they're inquiring about the gym. They're already fairly warm. They're not having to phone up leads. They may do. I've not done that side of it, but they didn't have the right credentials or the right drive for it. Very different. So yeah, they didn't feel right, and I almost gave up because I had so many CVs coming in and they weren't a good fit, and a lot of them that were applying wasn't even from a sales background. And then this one came in the day I was literally going to switch the ad off. Everything happens for a reason. I truly believe that. And I saw it and I got him on the phone straight away. And even just his mannerisms, he sounded professional. He's young, but he sounded older than his age. He spoke really well. And I said, the reason I'm taking you on is just because how you sound on the phone. And then I met him in person. He's in shape, he looks good, and that's going to work really well.
Was it one interview, 2 interviews?
Phone call first, and then I got him in for a face-to-face, and yeah, we hit it off, and he answered everything really well.
You made him the offer to join.
I mean, he had a folder like that of experience, really thick, and just I didn't even look at it. I was like, I don't need to see this. You already feel like a good fit for this.
Well, a lot of salespeople, as long as they can follow instructions, read a script, the main trait you're looking for is personality.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And underneath that personality is inner drive, which he seems to have. So I can't wait to see the results once lead flow in September, which is typically a busier month.
Yeah.
And, you know,
that's what he's training for. That's what we're building him up to, and
so
he's very excited.
Just to give context, we're filming this in June now?
July.
Yeah. And so yeah, he's already generating revenue for your business. So the big takeaway from this is a lot of people do need to get out of sales. You put him through our sales training.
Yes.
Right? So had he been professionally trained in sales before?
He had done some courses, but again, that was a corporate background. It wasn't fitness related. So straight away I booked him onto the sales bootcamp, which I've done myself and found it really beneficial.
We run that in the office. And what was his feedback after that?
Really good. Yeah, I actually spoke to Luke the next day at the FMA Mastermind as well, and he even remembered him from the day. He said he asked lots of questions and was really engaging. So yeah, I spoke to him on the way. He literally phoned me on the way back and he was pumped. He was buzzing.
Because again, a big mistake that gym owners make, if they're doing the sales or they outsource it to someone else, is not following a script. They don't know how to overcome objections. There's no framework to their sales call. They may just be making it up, or they've dabbled in some trainings before, or they think they know what they're doing is best, but it's not. So having that structure is crucial. So let's switch and go to that word resilience that you mentioned. So what does that mean to you? Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, the journey to get even to here has been so rough, and I'll be honest with you, it's been a really, really bumpy ride from back when, I mean, probably talking pre-COVID times. I was 19 when I qualified, so I got the job in the gym, doing instructing, cleaning equipment. Then I became a personal trainer. I sadly lost my mum. She was only 46, cancer. I was 20, and that kind of gave me the kick to really sort of grab life by the balls, I'm going to say it. And then I went travelling, and that's where I saw obviously the personal training studios in Australia, the outdoor boot camps, and I thought I'd love to open something like that. There was nothing like that in my town. I think there was one personal training studio miles away from us, no boot camps. So I started the first outdoor boot camp, but I had come from a gym background where people pay very low memberships. So I thought the only way I'm going to compete with these gyms is to do a very low membership. So my first membership I did was £30 a month. And for that, people could come to my classes. They could do as many outdoor or indoor classes. I was hiring halls, church halls, school halls. I was barely making ends meet. I was doing everything myself, one-to-one personal training all day to fill the hours, the classes before and at the end of the day. And I had 120 members. It was great, but they were paying £30 a month. And it was just, and then I was doing couples discounts, junior discounts, family discounts. I was trying to compete with commercial gyms. And it wasn't just access to classes they were getting. I would help them with their diets. I'd get them to weigh in. I'd be chasing them up if I didn't see them. I would literally have a list on my phone every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I would text them all that day and say, who's coming tonight? I didn't have a booking system or anything.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. And then I got a booking system. I hired my first facility at that tiny hairdressers above the hairdresser, tiny studio. And I think after speaking with you guys or someone on the team, they just said, you're doing it all wrong. When I first came on board, it was, and the only reason I came on board is because I actually met one of your other clients on my honeymoon. So it's crazy.
I remember now.
Yeah, Stephanie. Yeah. So I met Steph on my honeymoon.
Yeah.
And I was telling her what I was doing.
You was in like Greece or something.
We were in Rhodes in Greece. Good memory.
Just
at the same resort,
right?
Same resort. Just literally sat around the pool. Our kids were playing together. Their toddlers were playing together. And I started chatting to her. She said that she runs an outdoor boot camp in London. I said, I do one in Dorset. And she said, have you got a coach or a mentor? I said, no. I said, this is what I'm doing. She goes, oh, you're doing it all wrong. She said, you need to speak to Ben. So she gave me your number. I signed up literally when I got back off holiday. And first conversation was, look, you're doing what everyone else does. You're making a mistake. You're offering all this support, this coaching, this personal touch, but you're charging what a gym charges. You should be charging way more. So I thought, well, I've got 120 members all paying me £20 to £30 a month. I can't really go and start charging £100 to £200 a month. So all I did was I doubled what they were paying. I literally said to them, I think, I've learned a lesson here. And bearing in mind, a lot of these people become friends, as you know. Half of them came to my wedding reception literally a few months before. I sent them all an email and did a Facebook post in our private group on a Friday night to say, I'm going to be doubling the prices. This is why, X, Y, and Z. And I was honest with them as well because I liked them. They were, personal friends as well. And I said to them, I can't afford to carry on the way I am. I'm burning myself into the ground. I've got a young family now, 2 babies at the time. They were very close in age, less than a year apart. So it was hard work. I was barely seeing them. And I said, for my family's sake and my sake, I need to change what I'm doing. I still want to offer support. I still want you to come, but I'm going to have to double the price. And then I literally turned my phone off. So I sent it. I turned my phone off. And then the next morning, one of my best friends who was a member started banging on my door at about 11 a.m. What are you doing? What's going on? You need to check your phone. One of the customers who was a good friend commented to say, well, that's me, and I won't say the name, leaving. We can't afford to stay. And I even asked in the message, I said, if it's not good news and you can't stay, I understand that, but please speak to me privately. But because they commented publicly, everyone followed suit. Everyone jumped on the bandwagon and said the same, well, we can't afford it. We're going to leave. We're going to leave. We're going to leave. And within hours, I'd lost 60 members. So I'd lost half and I just wanted the world to swallow me up. I was in tears. I felt sick. I just thought that's the end of it. What have I done? I've made a mistake. I should have carried on with what I was doing. And I had a holiday booked to Spain to see my granddad. And I was staying at his villa with my young family. And I had my first ever campaign that had just gone live with FMA. So this is 5 years ago, before COVID. And I remember, bear in mind, I was probably turning over £4,000 a month and spending probably £4,000 a month. I was not making any money. And I get to this villa and I switch on the campaign. And I've never done a campaign before. I'd never had a script. I'd never used Stripe. I'd never taken a payment over the phone. If people asked me what my membership was, I used to tell them. I didn't build up a conversation and book a call. And I had my first few calls booked in whilst I was in Spain. I remember sat outside with my wife and kids were playing in the pool, and I went and found a quiet spot in the villa, sweating my ass off. It was boiling. I had this bit of paper in front of me. I had my first sales call. And I remember I was advised to sell a 12-week program, and it was something like £533. And I thought, no one's ever going to buy this. No one's going to pay that sort of money, especially they don't know who I am over the phone. And I had sales call after sales call booked in, and I was making money. I made $3,000 that week on holiday. And I came back just so relieved, like tears of joy. I remember going in, seeing my wife and saying, I've just had another one. I did like £1,000 in a day. I was like, and I was barely making ends meet. And all of a sudden it was that relief that I've done the right thing. So that was 5 years ago, pre-COVID. And for the next 12 months, I started to build. I think my revenue grew quite quick, from £4,000 a month to about 12, 15. It was going really, really well. And then COVID, pandemic.
We'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners watching this, they know in their gut they need to do a price increase, but they're scared, they're frightened. They probably just listen to your story and they're worried the same thing will happen to them. So any words of advice? I think for me, what you resonated with, like 2 young children, you weren't seeing them, you're working all the hours and you're getting minimal like return, and you knew that you couldn't persevere and do that for such little. So what would you say to that gym owner, fitness business owner, bootcamp owner, whoever it is out there who's listening to or watching this, who knows they need to do a price increase?
I mean, mine was so dramatic. It was so cheap. I think that's the difference. That it was such a low price for that client that they didn't actually value it. They didn't value it. They didn't obviously value me and the service I was providing, because I know that the half that left overnight, they went and joined local commercial gyms. And I know that a lot of them didn't stick to it, because a few months down the line, some of them came back and started paying quadruple what they were paying before. So it just shows that it was scary initially, but I have no regrets. I would not even be where I am now if I didn't take that risk. And I think you just have to remember your reasons why. I talk a lot about this with my clients, is remember your why. And my why was for my family. And if it meant upsetting 60 to 100 people, I was prepared to do that to get me out of that hole for them. So just having that motivation deep down is remember why you're doing it. You might upset a few people, but those people probably won't even be in your life in a few years' time. You have to do it for your family and you.
I love that advice. It's really good. Let's go to COVID. So the business you said was at roughly
probably about £12,000-15,000 a month and profitable. I think I did about £5,000 profit 1 month, which was amazing.
Things are flying compared
Things
to
were great, and it was. And I think I took on someone. I had two full timers now at this point working for me, so I'd step back a bit from the coaching, but I was still very much hands on with that. And then obviously there was the news of we were in Dublin at another mastermind, and we got shut down whilst we were there, didn't we? And we had to fly back. And by the way, the support from FMA then was incredible, because you even drafted up a letter for us to send to our clients straight away within minutes. It was amazing. So I sent that letter out, and again, just like before, I sent out the letter to say, bear with us. We don't know what's around the corner, but please support us so we can support you. We're going to be transitioning to Zoom. We're going to do online sessions. We can lend you equipment, but don't give up. We don't know how long this is going to last. Stay with us. But I'd only really had some of those members a few months, so there wasn't that bond, that loyalty. And again, half my members quit. So I went from a little bit of profit to things going really well to all of a sudden $5,000-6,000 in the hole, making a loss every month and back in the shit. I don't know if you're allowed to swear on this, but I am because that's how serious it was. And again, I was back to tears, back to just really another huge roadblock, something else that's going to get in the way. Things were just going well, not even a year. It was finally taken off, in my opinion, after all that hassle and stress and years of struggling. It was finally going well, and then a flipping pandemic. Like, who could have called it? But the half that stayed with us were brilliant. We had 120 members at this point, 14, 15K a month coming in, and it literally went down to about 6, 7. And I was actually losing money more than that. So I was losing money every month, probably about 10, 11. Overheads, staff. So really scary. Again, government-wise, they kicked in and obviously furloughed the staff, myself, grants and things like that. That's when we rebranded. So we changed our name. We used that as a chance to freshen things up, improve the model, improve what we were offering. So tried to turn it into a more of a positive situation. And we took on clients during lockdown. Again, it helped us with that. We moved to an online option, just on Zoom, face-to-face coaching. Hopefully never have to do that again, but it worked. It served a purpose. And then we were allowed to go outdoors. So before the gym reopened, we were allowed to train people outside, which was my background anyway. So we were getting people joined just to do an outdoor class, and then just spent the last few years rebuilding from there.
You had to switch locations. Yeah. Just talk us through that. So you came out of COVID, built things back up again, and just talk us through.
Yeah, the facility I was in at the time was probably about 1,100 square foot. I felt we'd outgrown it. And also during the pandemic, it was part of a business park. I wouldn't say they were the most supportive. They did let us freeze our payments for a few months before we had the help from the government. but then they wanted that back and some. So they actually added interest on. So our rent went up by £400 or £500 a month. So I kind of lost faith in them, and we'd outgrown it. So it was kind of win-win. It was almost that push. I spoke earlier, but I just believe everything happens for a reason.
When outgrown, you mean like lack of space?
Lack of space.
We were tired, the building maybe? Or?
No, I mean, the bill was fine. It was just more, we have too many clients. It just they didn't fit. We didn't have the right equipment for who we had coming in. We were getting so many new people sign up after lockdown because people were a lot more health conscious, I believe. So we just outgrew it. And then an option came up to take on a new unit around the corner, which was twice the size, a bit of a jump in rent, but it was available there and then. And I took the plunge and signed the lease, negotiated a 3-month rent-free period, but was still stuck with this one on the business park, and it was a 12-month notice to leave. So I had to take that risk of, I could lose this perfect facility, because facilities, especially personal training gyms or whatever you want to call them, are very hard to come by. Trying to get a landlord on board, it's not always easy. I think it's better now, but back then, not many people were doing it, so it was quite scary for the landlord, I think. So I took it on. I was paying for 2. So at one point I was paying over £4,000 a month in rent for 2 facilities. So again, my overheads had jumped up again. So actually I was making a loss again, but I had to take that hit to get to where it is now. So
you saw the bigger picture of what's possible.
Always have done.
I think you backed yourself.
Yeah.
Happy to say that.
Yeah.
That you're going to make this work.
Yeah.
Going back to that word that you used there.
Resilience. Yeah. Every time there's been a setback, I've actually then gone harder. So I've not gone back against the wall and submit. And actually Dan Aguilera praised me for this at a recent mastermind. He said, when your back's against the wall, that's when you push forward. And I think that's what I've had to do. I think that's business. I think every business goes through that, and you get a decision to make. You've either got to accept it for what it is and you give up and you go back and work a 9 to 5. That's not me. I can never do that again. I could never go back to taking orders from someone again. Or you just go for it, and that mentality is led me to now bigger projects and things like that, which are scary, but at the same time exciting.
Let's just talk about your front end offer and then your sort of pricing and packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So how much is it? You said 30 days, right, to get started?
Yeah, so we do a 30-day kickstart. It's just one price now. It's $247, and that will literally give them, like I said, unlimited exercise, and they can do up to 3 times a week in a small group, semi-private, and they can come to our large group classes if we feel they're ready, and all the other support. And then after that,
after the 247, so if they finish their 30 days, at what point? Obviously the check-ins are throughout, but at what point are you having that conversation about, hey, do you want to come into the next part?
Yeah, so again, through the systems, it's all automated. So every Monday they'll get a message from me, which is automatic, that just says, like, this week I want you to focus on this week this. Plus they're getting emails 2 or 3 times a week. So they're already getting those touch points, and they've got their accountability coach contacting them, making sure they're doing their food diary, then giving them advice or feedback on their food diary. So they're still getting loads of touch points the whole month. On the last Monday, so on their final week, they get an automatic message that says, click here to book in a call to discuss the follow-on options and to review how the last month's gone. So they book that call usually themselves, or like today, which is just buzzing now, I get a reminder to chase them up on a Wednesday if they haven't booked that call. So I've got a couple that are coming to the end this week, and then we have a call this week to literally start a membership from next week.
And what's your conversion rate roughly?
From 75 to 80%. Yeah.
Excellent. And how much are they paying once they become a full member?
So we have actually 5 different options, but I will tell them which one I think they should do, not the other way around. I used to give them a list and say which one, but now I say, for your goals and for where I think you're at and for what I think you need, then you need to choose this one. And it literally ranges from just doing large group classes only. If someone has got good history, no injuries, that kind of thing, don't mind a bigger group, because not everybody does. That one, it starts at 117 per month, 117. And our top membership is 247 a month, which would be 3 times a week in a small group.
And the product itself, the small group, how many coaches to client ratio?
So actually we've extended it so many times. So it used to be, I think, 5 to 1 at the smaller gym. Then we went to 8 to 1 when we moved to the bigger gym. Then we went to 10 to 1. And actually, recently, we've gone to 12, just on busier slots, like a 7 p.m. That's on a Monday. Some reason we always have a 1 or 2 on a waiting list. We just upped it to 12. Not one client mentioned and said, how come there's more people now? And we said, well, in the whole time you've been with us, we've improved everything. We've invested X, Y, and Z into this. Look at the equipment now. Look at the facility. more people want to train. You're at a peak slot. We've never increased your price in the 2 years you've been with us. We've never raised your price. These people coming in are paying more than you. We're not going to raise your price. That's how it is. It's a small gym. We've only got room for X amount of members.
And they were fine with it.
And he took it on board. He was fine.
So is there one coach coaching 12 people?
Up to 12, yeah.
And is there a second session at the same time? Or
no, so because of the facility and the way it is, it's literally one session at a time. So we just split up the timetable. So again, when I took on this new facility, I was inquiring about having a whole mezzanine put in and having a first floor above so that we could have gym downstairs, classes upstairs. And I think the quote we got back through, which was my uncle, by the way, who builds mezzanines and does partitioning and all of this, he said, you're looking at 150 grand here, Dave. He said, with everything, the price of everything, materials, he said, you're looking at 150 grand.
No mates race.
No, that probably would have been with a discount. And he said, are you sure this is something you want to do? I couldn't afford to do that. I'd have to borrow so much money. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I thought, we could have a gym downstairs, classes running upstairs, then everyone's happy. I thought, no, what we'll do is we'll just squeeze it all into one day. We'll have a large group class first thing in the morning. Our first semi-private session will kick in from 7 a.m. They run all day long, and then we have another large group class in the evening, followed by another semi-private. And it didn't make we didn't lose a single client.
And the large group, what's the ratio like?
If it was really busy, probably 20. But that is more conditioning. We call it fit and
on
lean.
the ergs and
it's
like
literally
dumbbells,
kettlebells, battle ropes, circuit training, HIIT training. We might do a bit of boxing because I still want to get a bit of that in there. But actually, our semi-private program's busier now than our large group.
So just talk me through how that's delivered. Is there a structured program? Are the sessions an hour? Is there a compound lift? How does it work?
So our semi-private program is split across 3 sessions or 3 days. So session 1 is Mondays and Tuesdays. So that all runs Monday and Tuesday. First main exercise is squat, and then it's all the other accessories and stuff like that. Session 2 is Wednesdays and Thursdays, and that will start with a bench press. And then Fridays and Saturdays is session 3, which is a deadlift. And then all the other stuff, we add a bit of high intensity stuff, supersets and things like that into that session. So the clients can do 1, 2 or 3 sort of semi-private sessions a week to build strength, but we always give them access to classes. So no matter which plan they may do, to give them more value and to give them better results, we give them unlimited access to our large group classes. And we call the large group classes Fit and Lean, and they're 45 minutes long, and they're just sweat sessions, really. So we try and encourage them to go to that or do a bit of both in an ideal world.
And small groups 45, or is that?
That's an hour. That one's an hour. But again, some people, they'll do the hour semi-private. They might stay on and do a 45-minute sweat, which I don't agree with, but they do it. The semi-private session is a 12-week program. So each coach, even though I've got a head coach, I actually let each coach plan a 12-week program, which focuses on a bit of strength, bit of power, a bit of, I say hypertrophy, but hypertrophy is how other people say it. And it just covers a bit of everything. And then the Fit and Lean 45-minute sessions is just conditioning, fitness, fat loss, you name it.
And in the small group, do you have them partnered up, like sharing a barbell, or like how does that work?
With our clients, the average age is probably 48, 50 plus. So actually, quite a lot of them are happy doing a goblet squat with a kettlebell. So we might get a few that are squatting with a barbell on the rack, and some might have to share, but we just sort of match them up height-wise, and they can change the weight if they need to. Trap bars, we've got pretty much enough for 5 people. We rarely have them pairing up, just because we get a lot of obviously older people, newer people that aren't going to be trap bar deadlifting straight away, so they start with the kettlebell. So equipment's never really been an issue. Even with 12, people have got used to who they would go with, and they just take turns. We've got 10 benches, so if it is a superset, one of them might be doing bicep curls or might be doing dumbbell flies. So actually equipment's never been a problem like that.
Let's talk about the community that you've built. So you are consistent. Can you just tell everyone what you do? What's the plan that you roll out?
Yeah, I can't remember where I saw this. It would have been from one of the other clients, maybe at FMA, or it was something on one of the coaching calls or something. But we got shown years ago now a schedule of events, and it looked amazing. Just having that printed, I thought looked really smart. So I thought, right, let's plan our own schedule of events for the next 12 months and actually put something in the calendar every month that we could put on for our clients. Our clients, again, because they're a bit older naturally, I know a lot of people now are into the high rocks and things like that. I would say it's not, I'm not assuming, but we've tried it. We've tried to launch something. We tried to do the battle cancer thing last year and we barely had an uptake. We've tried in-house games, no uptake. So I don't think it's our demographic maybe, but things like a walk on a Sunday or a summer family fun day or a quiz night, anything that involves a bit of alcohol. We had a summer social at the pub the other week. It was packed. So it seems like they like that side of it. So we, in December, every year now as a team, will sit down and plan out a whole 12 months events. And we usually sometimes have one or even two things a month on that calendar. And then we send that out in December when we know people aren't as motivated and say, next year we're doing X, Y, and Z. So, for example, this Saturday we're climbing Ben Nevis. So we've got 20 clients coming up to Ben Nevis.
Just give reference of how far that is from where you operate.
You can fly it in probably 2 hours, or it's a 12-hour drive. So we're right on the south coast in Poole, Dorset. So you couldn't literally be any further away. But we've got people flying up there, driving up there, car sharing together. We're going to be camping at the Lake District the night before. So it's a 4-night trip. So it is a big commitment. That's probably the biggest one of the year.
And do you organise everything like accommodation, food? Like how does that work?
I help them with it.
Yeah.
So I'll tell them where I basically book it first for myself, and I bring my family along because I turn it into a little holiday as well. Same with the fitness retreats we do. The fitness retreats we run once or twice a year in Cornwall. The sole purpose of that was to pay for a holiday for me and my family. And that there's probably a pattern forming. Everything I do is for them. That is the why for me. So these retreats and things like that, it's really just have adventures with my family and spend that time with them, because then it makes up for the time that you're not there. So community events are great. I think it's a great retention tool. I think sending that out in December sets you up for the next year. And I'll say to people in the Facebook group, in the email, comment below with the 3 things you're going to do next year. And again, it just makes that little promise, and they'll say, I want to climb a mountain in July. I can't wait. The Christmas party we have, it's a night of the year for these people. Black tie event. We hire a lovely facility. We get a casino company to come in. Everyone gets dressed up. We do trophies. We probably spend £1,500 on that night. They pay for a ticket to cover a bit towards the food, but they have a buffet. And if you tell them that that's on in December and there's going to be awards, they're thinking about that all year, and it's a really good retention tool, as well as things like Member of the Month. So I do an announcement once a month for that. It makes people feel like they're part of something. The community, I think, is probably the most important thing for keeping clients motivated. And I have a saying, I might have made this up, I might have got it from someone else, probably Dan Aguilera, he's got enough of them. But it's their goals that get them started, but it's the community that keeps them motivated, because then you're offering something that a competitor or a big gym physically just can't compete with. We can't offer the luxury spa, the steam room, the swimming pool, but we can give them community and support. And that's, I think, got to be at the forefront of your mind all the time.
That makes them sticky to the brand, to the coaches, to you.
Yeah.
And they just want to continue, and they don't want to leave the gym because they lose their friendships.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the impact that Dan Aguilera at Fitness Business Profits has had on you. So how did you find him? Mm-hmm. What was the initial conversation, and how is it working since you first met?
Yeah, I think I met Dan at one of the events. I think he spoke at one of the events, probably Dublin, which is probably when we went into lockdown, actually. It was, in fact, because I remember speaking to him before he spoke, so I didn't really know a lot about him. And it's funny, when you come to an FMA event and you're new to it, I think like anything, you come into a new environment. I was a bit nervous coming here today. It's always that little bit of anxiety. And I remember going to my first mastermind at Twickenham and seeing Dan Aguilera with Gavin Denning, another client, and they just seemed really pally. They knew each other. I thought, I'd love to be part of that. I think Shane Wesley was there as well. And you just got chatting like you do. It's very sociable. You're staying in the same hotel, at the bar, whatever. And then he spoke, and I was like, wow, this guy clearly knows what he's talking about. And then we went into lockdown. And I remember, because we spoke at the mastermind, he messaged me first during lockdown. He said, just whilst we're going through this tough time, just try this, try that. He gave me some free advice. He wasn't officially FBP back then, it was just an idea he'd had, and he did the usual thing. He was building trust and obviously giving me free advice, and it worked, because within a few months of him helping me for free, he said, I'm going to be launching something in the next few months. I think you'll be a great fit for it. Sales script galore, but it worked. And then he introduced me to his new idea, obviously FBP. That was 4 years ago. And I've not looked back since. And again, a bit like with FMA, the relationships I've made and the friendships and that community from my point of view and what you guys offer, again, it's what's kept me going, really, and the connections. So from that now, we've launched a new business this year. Through meeting Dan, I'd met Sophie and Dom, and they've launched, obviously, Revive Wellness, which is contrast therapy. So again, back against the wall, still recovering from COVID. Gym's not where I want it to be. What should I do? Let's borrow a load of money and open a Revive and bring some revenue from somewhere else.
We'll go deeper into that in a second. Lots of gym owners out there, maybe they put on that Superman cape, they don't need additional help.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to them? Why is it important to tap into a higher level group mentorship and have someone else give their opinion and look over your books, your business, and just give you some insights?
I think it's buying their experience, because if they're a little bit older or they've been doing it a little bit longer than you, they've clearly been through it, and I've been through it. And I my only regret, I'm glad you've brought this up, is that I didn't do it sooner, because I was on my own for 10 years and I struggled for 10 years and I was exhausted for 10 years, one-to-one personal training all day, teaching classes, and it was just exhausting. And it was only through desperation that I reached out for help. I should have done it sooner. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's stubbornness, maybe it's that independent, I can do it on my own, I don't need help. And I didn't know help was there at the time. I didn't know there were coaches. I'd never heard of mentors and coaches and things like that. And it was only speaking with Steph Inroads on my honeymoon that said, oh, there's a guy that can help you with getting people in and sales. And yeah, I wish I knew about it sooner. I think it's easier these days. I think there's more mentors, more coaches. But back then, no one I knew had a coach or a mentor. But I just wish I did it. I wish I had that when I started 16 years ago, because God knows where I'd be now. It would be crazy. So my advice would be, if you're not where you want to be, the sooner you take on help and support, the quicker you'll see things turn around. And my brother, I've got a twin brother who's a school teacher at a secondary school, and he's been teaching now for the same amount of time I've been personal training. So he's kind of where I was. He's decided that he wants to launch an online tutoring business. So he's working full-time as a teacher. He's now doing that on the side. So he actually took on a coach, a company that specializes in helping people set up mentoring, tutoring companies. And I think his investment initially was about £5,000, which he didn't have. He had to borrow it. I encouraged him to do it. He did that, and now he's running, I think, 3 or 4 of these online tutoring courses a year. He's making money from it, to the point where from September he's dropping down to part-time in education, first time ever, to focus more on that. And now to stay with this company, they're asking for more money. And I'm saying to him, just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? And he's umming and ahhing, and he's not sure he wants to commit. And I'm trying to say, please just do it, because the sooner you commit and take that help, you'll see things skyrocket. So
they've already opened the door and got him to a certain level. They can
I'm like, you've been an idiot not to do it.
Do it again.
Don't delay. Like, I've got 3 mentors now, or 3 businesses that help me in different areas. You guys, obviously, with marketing, Dan Aguilera with business and development and finance, whatever you want to call it, and now an Instagram company helping me develop an Instagram online presence. So yeah, I've learned the hard way, certainly, but you should definitely do it.
So basically, you shortcut to success is much quicker, because a lot of mistakes that we all make, someone can just show you the path that's been worn by many and lead you to the success and the destination that you're going to. Same as a fitness coach, right? Can help a client who's deconditioned or obese. It's the same in that space as well. Let's switch to Revive. So just explain what that is. Yeah,
so Revive is a franchise. They've got a couple now in Wales where it started, and it's taken off really quickly, hence why they've opened a second. And then one of our masterminds with Dan Aguilera FBP, they just said, well, I was already inquiring. I'd seen theirs were open in Wales, and I was already messaging Sophie and Dom in Wales saying, how do you do it? Like, what have you done? Do I need this? Do I need that? Where can I put it? I was thinking of building a mezzanine upstairs above the gym, doing it. And they just said, hold fire. We're kind of building something, we'll be in touch. And then at the next meetup, they launched it and said, we're going to be offering this as a franchise opportunity. Here's a brochure, here's a bit of information, scan the QR code, book a call. I didn't even read the brochure, I just scanned the QR code, had a call, bought into it straight away. Because I personally believe in it, contrast therapy. I do ice baths every morning now for the last 9 months. I think I've seen a real improvement in things with that. So I believe in it, and I think it's just the time of it. I think since Windhoff, everyone's gone a bit ice bath or sea swim crazy. And I think with Revive, it's not just ice baths. You've got a sauna. It's an experience, and you can get a coffee after. It becomes more of a social thing. We're going to have a treatment room, so we can now offer massage, which is something that we don't currently do with the gym. So it will just bring in a whole new revenue source. And I'm so driven by it that I've invested more money than I ever thought I would into anything, because I'm that determined to set it up.
How far is it from the gym?
5 minutes.
So you didn't put it in the gym?
No, and that was the initial idea, but it just simply wouldn't have worked because we would have had to build above the gym, the weight of it, the tanks, everything. And also they said it's better off having it as a separate business. You don't want it to just appeal to gym members. I believe Sophie and Dom told me from day one that only 5% of their gym members use it. It's actually external customers, it's triathletes, it's sports teams, rugby clubs, you name it. And just normal people wanting to do it for their health and mental health. So have it as a separate business. Not everyone likes to go in a gym. They find them scary. Whereas if you've got it as a separate facility, a separate business under a different name, it should be more successful.
Some people listening to this, they'll be like, oh, I can just set this up myself. I can just buy a few, ice baths or a sauna. Or so why did you not go down that route? And another thing that people might be thinking is like, oh, I don't want to become part of a franchise. I want it to be the ego, right? I want it to be my own thing. I don't want to be part of something that's bigger. I believe I can do this myself. So you didn't do either of that. What would your advice be to someone who's thinking that option? Same
as the mentoring. Why do it on your own? You'll be more successful if it's something that's already a proven model, it's already doing well, and they've got a good name for themselves. It's clearly doing really well in Wales, and I'm not the only one that's jumped on board. They've got quite a few now that have signed up to it. I think there's one opening in Halifax. There's a couple more that are just sort of getting up and running now, but we'll be one of the first. Like anything in business, it's a bit of a risk, I guess, but it's not, because it's already proven to be doing really well. So I think my biggest thing, goes back to what I was saying, is I wish I always got help sooner. That is my biggest regret in this industry, is I didn't listen to the experts, I didn't take on the advice, and I didn't sort out external help quick enough. This time I cut out that attempt to do it on my own, and I've gone straight to the experts that know what they're doing.
Like a business owner, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And you know that as soon as you open the launch of it, you guarantee X amount of revenue if you hit these numbers,
exactly.
The promotion, how it all works. And so a lot of people will be like, it costs them a lot of time and money because they try and figure out themselves, and they buy, let's say, the wrong ice baths, or anyway, and down the line they've not made much money, where they could have just gone to the exact source where the model works. They know exactly what to do. It's a plug and play situation.
Well, they're a team as well. They've got, I don't know how many members of staff already. It's not just one person, it's a team. And I've had contact with that team 2 or 3 times this week already, and they're speaking with the builders directly. I'm not even really having to worry about anything. And that's the thing for me, is I'm at a point now where I've been in the fitness industry for 16 years. I've been through it. I'm quite tired, and I just want to get to a point where I've got businesses that run really well. They almost run themselves, and I'm just overseeing. And that, like I said, that entrepreneur mindset. I'm tired of being in the forefront of it. I'm tired of being on the ground fighting. I want to be up there just sort of reaping the rewards, really.
So to open this franchise, you said you had to take on some investment. Where did you go for that?
So I just used a normal funding company, I think Funding Circle, who I've used before for the gym. I think taking an investment is scary initially, but I couldn't do it without it. So there's no regret that I've done that, but I have borrowed £90,000 to set it up. But again, no regret. I believe in it that much. I think you've got to be that determined and that positive about something if you're going to borrow that sort of money. And I've always been led to believe that borrowing money means debt. And that's actually coming from a close source. My granddad, who's in his 80s now, retired, had a cleaning business that had 2,000 employees that he started from scratch. 26, come out of the Navy, no job, got himself some equipment, started cleaning something up on the beach in Portsmouth, and got offered a contract for the council. Because he was ex-Navy, got contracts with the military, and his business just boomed. I think it was turnover 30 million a year the day he sold it, which was 20 years ago. So doing very well. And I spoke to him on the phone about a month ago, and I said about this, and he said, "So you're in debt?" I said, "Well, I wouldn't class it as debt. You're in debt. You shouldn't have to borrow that much money." But he's very old school, and he never had a holiday for the first 5 years of his life building this business. He didn't see his kids. He wasn't a family person, still isn't. And maybe that's something he regrets now, but he chose that. Whereas I'm trying to balance building a business, but also being there for my family. So I am, working when they're in bed. I'm not missing out on that time with them, or, I'm doing things that probably can't afford to do. We went to Lapland last year. Could we afford it? No. But we're making memories. So it's that investment has meant that I can still build a business and focus on long term, but not miss out on the present time.
Because the other options is to not do anything at all, or use your personal savings. But when you acquire this debt, like what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Like literally, like you're still going to be able to breathe.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing.
You're going to have a strategy in place to recoup that money very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the first couple of years, if not sooner.
Exactly.
And you're going to open a second business that's going to serve the local community and maybe introduce something new to them that they've not done before that helps them with physical, mental health.
Yeah,
So,
it's exciting.
let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes that you've made to wrap up the podcast that people listening or watching can avoid.
Yeah, I think definitely trying to do it yourself. I think obviously I did for so long, for 10 years. Again, probably because I didn't know there was help out there. But then as soon as I saw that help, I did go for it. So it's being honest with yourself. Don't be naive. Don't think that you can do it all by yourself, because there's people out there that have been through it, who've got the answers. You just have to have that leap of faith in them. So that's probably my, not a mistake as such, but just through not knowing really. So I would say forcing expansion. So thinking that you're at a point where you can start taking on staff and then realising that you can't afford to pay them. That's something I've done. I've had to actually backtrack. There's been times where I've taken on staff because I think I'm at a point where I'm ready for staff. I'm ready to step back. But I didn't have the things in place. Things weren't where they needed to be. I was rushing it. And then I've had to get rid of that staff.
Do you think that's linked to point number one? If you'd had that guidance and mentorship, you wouldn't have then made that mistake?
100%. All day long. That would be exactly how I would summarize it, because now I've got the coaches, the mentors, the people in place that are saying, now you're at this level, you should do X, Y, and Z, and naturally staggering it that. So yeah, I was on my own, then I had some coaches, then I had to get rid of coaches, then I've brought new ones on. I personally believe now that the team I've got, there's 5 of us, it's the best team ever. I actually said to them yesterday, I said, it's quite sad to think that I'm only 35. I've probably got another 20 years or so of business. I'm not going to have this same team forever. I just know that's how it's going to be. And it's hard to think, can I ever get a team this good again? Because but that comes down to me, and it comes down to what's being told to me. So
leadership skills
and what's being taught to me that I'm passing on to them. So absolutely I could build a team and get the right people in, but it just shows it's a credit to them, which is because of that support and that mentorship. So yeah, not rushing expansion, not seeking advice and taking on help because you think you can do it yourself. Don't get the help and just go for it. Go all in.
It's been awesome having you on the podcast, Dave. Thank you very much. Where can people find you? What's the website? What's the Instagram handle for the business and personal?
Yeah, so it's the Fitness Formula. You can Google it, and Instagram, it's like that. It's just got a few hyphens and things in it, and it's Dave Hoyland.
Cheers, Dave. Appreciate you coming down.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Fitness Marketing Agency podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe so you can catch future episodes.